Alrighty, today we're going to be talking about Dreamscape, particularly what cards do you get in your first 5-card draft. It's very important to have the right cards with the right synergy, or at the very least, options to go for with the game so that you can do something with it. First of all, one of the most important things you should know is you do not want to pass over the low-cost ones. If you see 3 of the 10-cost awesome huge effects cards in Dreamscape and you pick all 3 of them, you've done yourself a massive disservice. You want to pick 1 reach card unless everything else was absolute trash. You want to have 1 good 6 to 10 cost card if possible. Sometimes I don't even do that, I go for all low cost. But you want to have 1 or 2 low cost cards that you're going to definitely get some use out of. Insight's not so common that you're going to be able to do everything. So right away, let's talk about the most powerful of all the Dreamscape cards. Lunar Embrace. Turn runes into power. Helps you get to a Nihilus or a Nightmare. Helps you do a lot in 1 big turn of monster slaying. This cannot be overstated enough. This is the best card in all of the Dreamscape. Now, the second best card fits the exact same kind of methodology, but you have to have the killing power in your own deck. It's Stalk the Shadows. Being able to kill monsters in the void as if they're in the center row, that's really important to be able to do. Can let you kill a Nihilus a second time, pick a Nightmare up that they thought they'd banished and taken out of the game. So many different things you can do with this. It's very powerful. If you get both of them, take them. Definitely take them. In fact, if you can get both of those in Beserker's Frenzy, that's probably your best start possible, because you can just hold on to both of them waiting till later in the game. Once a couple 2 and 3 cost monsters have shown up, and maybe one's still in the center, maybe they're all in the discard pile, whatever it is, you don't need all that much power that you've been aiming for that whole game to pick up Beserker's Frenzy for free. And if you've got a lot of power in your deck, you're going to be able to use that defeat a monster double its reward thing frequently. Okay, going back to the rest of the cards. The third card in my most powerful list for these low costers, most important ones, will surprise no one. It is... oh, it's up here in common. Doesn't have a type. Vigils Resolve. Which I'm having trouble bringing to the forefront. Vigils Resolve makes Mystics and Heavy Infantry give you 1 additional. This card has several unique features. The first is it's the only non-transform card that has a cost lower than its honor value at the end of the game. That's really unusual. Second, this is super combo-y. If you have things that upgrade your apprentices and militia into Mystics and Heavy, that's super powerful. If you had a game that was stalled out in the center row and everyone had to buy some Ever-Ready cards, well, now all your Ever-Readies are even more powerful. Gives you a lot of freedom. Being able to stack something on top of your deck when you can make it guaranteed 3 power or 3 runes become more effective than you'd expect them to be. So this is the third most important card right under Lunar Embrace, Stalk the Shadows, and some people would argue this is better than all of them. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is my personal favorite of all the cards in the Dreamscape. Like, most underrated card. A lot of people don't realize how good Arbiter Censer is. The main reason that I think this card is so great is if you're going for a monster slaying deck, if you're going for a lot of power, the main thing you need to worry about is the game going too long, someone else being able to get big Mechana and Enlighten combos going off, and they just start to do so much in those final turns you can't keep up, even though you've been way ahead the whole game. 2 honor per monster is great. It's not that good, but it's great. But you need to think of it like this. If you're going for an honor rush deck, being able to empty the pool faster is worth a lot more than just those couple points suggest. You can end the game 1, 2, maybe even 3 turns earlier than you could if you get this card early enough in the game. A lot of people, like, they'll do a void deck and they'll be all about getting their Bringer of Despair right away because they've got a couple void cards and are wanting to double their power. Well, this is great. Don't get me wrong. That's going to be next up on the list right after Censer, actually, is the Bringer of Despair. But you get to do that 1 out of every maybe 4 turns, assuming you even get it with another void at the same time. And it's going to give you, let's say you had one other void card that gave you 2, and this gives you 8 power. Maybe you gained 4 to 6 extra power off of that double effect. Well, at most you're probably going to get about 5 points out of that. This, every single turn, is going to give you 2 for every monster. Every monster that comes out during the entire course of the game is going to add up to a lot more points than the few times you get to get that Unite off. Get the Unite second, get Censer first. Highly recommend it. So much more powerful for an Honor Rush deck because it helps you control the pace of the game and get it done with immediately. Now, obviously the doubling cards are really important. This one and the Reverie Muse that I'm about to look at after this are really important. A note to make on these, if you have something like from Realms Unraveled where you have a multi-unite Death Dealer Noble that gives you power, you want to play the Bringer of Despair first and the Death Dealer second. The reason for that is when you play a card to the center, you take all of its effects from top to bottom in order. Then you go backwards and do first in, first out on your Unite order, everything that you've played from left to right. So if you play the Bringer of Despair first and the Death Dealer Noble last, you will get its Unite for an extra 1 power off of the original Bringer of Despair before the Bringer of Despair's double goes off, giving you an extra power out of that. If you play them in the other order and you do the Bringer second, which everyone naturally wants to do, they want to save it, then you're going to double, then you're going to get your 1 power bonus from the Void Unite. Just be aware of stuff like that. It's even more important for the Lifebound one. One of the most common ways that people set off the Lifebound Unite is with the Verdant Hatchling, and you don't get any runes off of it until it's been united. So you need to play either 2 Enlightened first, or sorry, 2 Lifebound first to get this effect off, or you need to play the Reverie Muse first. You don't want this double to go off until you've gotten your extra runes. So you play the Reverie Muse, you have 1, play all the rest of your rune cards, then you play the Verdant Hatching, you gain 2, then you gain 2 more runes, and then you double it. If you do the Reverie Muse second, you're just going to get these extra 2 and have missed out on 2 more runes. Really important for one of those big buying power decks to maximize everything you get. Okay, those are the only 6 cards in the low cost tier that are really shine. Lunar Embrace, Stalk the Shadow, Vigils Resolve, Arbiter, Censer, Reverie Muse, and Bringer of Despair. So be looking for all of those. Next up is the really good middle tier cards. These are awesome. You've got your technological leap. Grab all the constructs in the center row without paying their cost. If you know you have this, you can play a little bit of a chicken game with the center row, trying to wait as long as possible until all the constructs are out there, buy everything else, do that kind of thing. It is amazing. The next one that people might underestimate a little bit, but I still put as being very good, is right in here somewhere. There it is, Cetra's Respite. Acquire a hero in the center row without paying its cost. 6 is a lot of insight to get, but if you're not having a lot of stuff or you manage to get spammed with insight somehow, you can use this to pick up something like the Unbound Emissary or an 8 cost Emery, something that'll put you way over the top and doing a lot of stuff in that game. It's definitely worth being able to take the biggest card in the center for 6 of your insight. There are just going to be times where you're stuck holding this and there's only constructs, you can afford it, or all the heroes are small, and you're not going to want to play it for a small hero. You're going to want to hold on to it and save it and hope for better. But it's a really good card to pick up at the beginning of the game if you have a high cost spot that wasn't better. Now your ultimate high cost spots that you really want to get are that Beserker's Frenzy I was showing earlier, which is 10-point bonus. You can get it by killing 3 monsters in the same turn, and you get to double all monsters once a turn. I shouldn't say all monsters. Once a turn you get to double a monster's reward. Keep in mind things like the Sowers from Realms Unraveled, their reward is 2 or 3 flat. the bonus for all of your factions does not get doubled because it comes after the reward. This only doubles the reward, not the bonus effect. Another thing that's important with that, you only double the honor reward. If something destroys a construct, it's not going to destroy two. It's not like that. It doesn't double the card, it just doubles the point value base. Okay. Nairi's Blessing is the other 10-coster really worth having. All you have to do is play 3 Lifebound in a single turn. It's worth a 10-point bonus, and it sets off all of your Lifebound unites for the rest of the game. Very, very effective card. You can pick it up with a Nightmare Tyrant kill, managing to just buy your way into it. A lot of different ways you can get this card. Very worth going for. And then the next two are Armistice, which I'm assuming doesn't have a faction. It does not. Armistice, discard your hand, draw 5 cards. This card has more potential for high-end play than most people would expect. The reason I say that is if you're going to be watching their deck really carefully and they get down to a couple cards left in deck or everything's in their final hand, you can know what's in their hand. And if their best card, if they had a really bad shuffle, they've been waiting to get their best card, they've finally gotten it, and you know it's in their hand and you force them to discard that whole hand and draw back up, you've ruined an entire cycle of their best card. So yeah, that would be quite powerful. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video here and I'll piece together the rest later.